Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our AM Awakening, our weekend edition with myself, Maulana Fudel Jones. We are speaking about Nafsopathology with Kareem Maliki. And yesterday we had him, alhamdulillah, and he did a beautiful introduction of himself all the way from Russia. Have been staying in South Africa, Cape Town since 2009, alhamdulillah. And he loves, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
He does love South Africa, absolutely.
I still wanted to know about the Bola Kusista. Which one? Which one do you prefer, the Bola or the Kusista?
Well, I can't be taking sides in front of anyone. We love it all.
That's a clever answer, mashallah. Allah Ta'ala accepts, inshallah. Yesterday we stopped with the Islamic perspective and how does Islam deal with psychology, and like you mentioned now, the concept of nafsul pathology. So we were speaking about that. Can you perhaps just elaborate again, min fadlikum, about that concept?
Sure. So quick recap. There is two extreme deviations, and our path is always the middle path, the path of moderation and the path of the truth at the end. So we have on one side materialism, secularism, and atheism, which explains everything through evolution, and we'll just say, okay, human being is just a animal with very complex reflexes, very complex responses. So that's one approach.
Almost like an animal, you mentioned.
Yeah, just an animal. They don't see animal. It's just an animal which is with very complicated tricks.
Yes.
Yeah? So, true, we do share things with animals. We eat, we sleep, we procreate. We also have instincts. Instincts of procreation, survival, those other things which makes us also who we are. But we are much more than animals. We also have things which animals deprive from, which is intellect. This is something that we share with animals, with angels. So animals don't have intellect. That's why in terms of Islamic studies, as Maulana and our listeners I'm sure know, we have something what we call taklif. Animals are not mukallafun. They are not legally responsible for their actions. So when Allah says aqimus salah, He's not addressing to animals because they don't have intellect to understand. They might hear, but they won't understand. But also, we angels have intellects, but they don't have instincts. So they always do what Allah commands, because there is no self-preservation or procreation, because angels don't even have gender. They created from the pure light, and they don't procreate unlike us. So they don't have instincts, they have intellect. Now we have both. And that's what puts us in this amazing situation. So yes, we use our instincts. We use them so we could go and, for example, use our procreation instincts, and we can use it for the sake of ibadah. We can use our survival instincts to protect ourselves and our loved ones. So we have to make use of it. But also we got intellect, so we can human being can rise above animals, and that's example of can rise above angels. That's the example, for example, of our Prophet ﷺ. But also it's possible for us to go below the animals, unfortunately. So we have this unique situation when we have both intellect and instincts. And when they meet each other, this is what I'd like to call emotions. That's a unique thing. This is our happiness, and this is our misery. This is our gift, and for some people it becomes their, let me not say curse, challenge.
Subhanallah. I'm thinking of the ayah thumma radadnahum, in Surah Watini wa Zaytun, because essentially Allah Ta'ala created ahsan taqwim, like the best of forms, and then Allah Ta'ala, then we also have the ability to go down and to become like animals if we are going to do what we want to, when we want to, how we want to, without the taklif, without fulfilling the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and abstaining from those things that Allah Ta'ala has prohibited us. So the nafsu pathology. So you have described the person himself. We have both animal qualities and we have both angelic qualities. We are in between. The nafsu pathology deals with what?
That's exactly where the name comes in. We say nafsu because when we say human psyche today, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a metaphor for chemical processes, bioelectric impulses in our brain, and we don't actually see soul behind the word psyche today in the modern psychology. So psychology treats something, it doesn't believe it exists, as I said earlier. So when we say nafs, nafs is very real.
Subhanallah.
Because we have badan and then we have nafs.
Mm.
So in the same way, you have symptoms related to your body. For example, you have fever and headache.
Yes.
Symptom. Its body is telling you something that maybe you need to have some rest
Mm-hmm.
and don't go to work
Mm-hmm.
today. And in the same time, you have symptoms which are related to your nerves. And those symptoms is what we call emotions.
Uh-huh.
And for example, when you're feeling angry, anger exists for a reason. In the same way as fever exists for a reason. Now, what some people would like to do, they would like to ignore fever. They would take a pill and still go back to work, for example. Then they will find out that they did not let themselves rest and heal. They're going to get it worse.
Yes.
In the same way, you have emotion of anger is the symptom related to nerves. And the anger is telling you that you have been attacked, you have been injured, maybe physically, maybe emotionally, because someone, for example, is insulting you. So what you need to do, you need to protect yourself. For some reasons, and that's another emotions sometimes kick in. For example, fear. Person is afraid to protect their boundaries. And that's what happens. Fever is kicking in, but you're not listening. Well, if you're not listening, a condition will become worse. And in the same way, we can talk about what I've mentioned, anger. The same thing, we can also talk about fear. You need to remove yourself from unsafe situation. And we can talk also about grief, and we can talk also about guilt and shame and loneliness. All those things, all those feelings and emotions, they exist for a reason. They are those are messengers, or messages which being sent to us. So we could act accordingly. For example, you have a survival instinct. It does not speak to you using English language. It speaks to you through hormones.
Yes.
You have for example, adrenaline and cortisol. Suddenly, your heart is pumping. Suddenly, you are sweating. Suddenly, muscles are tense. Suddenly, you don't feel like you should be digesting, because now this is the emotion of fear. You should be running for your life.
Sheikh Karim, I wanted, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you mentioned the word anger, and I immediately realized, when a person finds out he has been given, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has now set for him in his life that he has this particular disease, and it feels like a death sentence. He's angry. He becomes, or she becomes angry. I've learned that males can also have breast cancer. I didn't know that. And so whether male or female, they become angry, but now they're angry at Allah. How does the Nafsopathology connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So I know it's a study of, the psyche and the nafs and so forth. But obviously our question is always, related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How is it that the particular subject of Nafsopathology connects with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Well, I think we have to go back to the nafs. I know there is a saying, Man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu. I believe it's not a hadith. If I'm not mistaken, it's Al-Hakim Al-Tirmidhi is quoting it. People like to quote as hadith, not a hadith, but a common saying. So whoever knows himself will know the God. And we need to, I think, remember, whether we're angry at Allah or other human beings, all the relationships we have are going to be based on how do we relate to ourselves. Because if you believe that you are okay, you will see that the way other people treat you, you will see it differently. If you believe that there is something wrong with you, you will expect the same treatment from other people. Going back to your question, how do you deal with the anger? Do you deal with the anger to Allah, or maybe anger to doctors, or anger to anyone else? Our relationship with others are conditioned by who we think we are.
SubhanAllah.
How can you live after such diagnosis, or this diagnosis, or any other calamity? Well, I'm going to say something now. I understood it only recently, but the moment we decide to condition our happiness with something external, it is just trying to justify why we cannot be happy right now in this moment.
SubhanAllah.
Because we will always find other reasons why we are not happy, because we don't have this and this and this, or we has this and this and this. I'm always inspired by the hadith that whoever wakes up in the morning and he has food for a day and there is no physical ailment in the body, so there is no physical suffering, it's like you have the whole dunya. So but what does it mean you have the whole dunya? It means that whatever else you have, it doesn't change anything. You already have everything. But in reality, of course, we condition our happiness and we are suffering. And like we spoke before the show, people think that they need to reach some kind of success, they need to have an achievement of something, and then they will be happy. It works exactly other way around. First, you need to become a happy person, and then you will start achieving things. It's just how it works. You have to become a cheerful person. You have to become fully integrated person, present. You will be treating people well because you don't expect anything from them. You don't need to be angry. You don't need to feel hatred and so on. Once you are okay with yourself on your own, you will be okay with other people. You will be okay with your parents, for example. You will be okay with the people around you. And when you are okay with creation, will be also okay with Creator.
Allah.
Because it doesn't work others. Man la yashkuru nasa la yashkuru Allah. Whoever doesn't thank people doesn't thank Allah. So how do we measure that the person is a devout worshipper and the person is reciting Quran and making salah and making fasting and it's all for the sake of Allah, yet abusing the creation? I cannot possibly imagine it.
Subhanallah. That's really deep and very important. Subhanallah. And all of this is it's tied into yourself.
Nafs. It's nafs. It's what we think you... And you have to say, unfortunately, that, those maladaptive, unproductive strategies of trying to reach happiness, and sometimes they can take... some people look to achieve happiness materially, and it's not going to work. And sometimes people take those negative self-identification and it's unfortunately can become the problem in the deen. For example, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, right? It can be in something like person is constantly scared that you left your stove on, and that's more like dunya related. And then OCD unfortunately can become religious.
Yes.
When voodoo related, solar related, person doesn't remember has he or she washed his limb, has he prayed this rakat, and it becomes a disaster in the deen. And in the same way, everything what we mentioned about anger, desperation, fear, it can also be misdirected, and now it becomes a problem in relationship between you and your Creator. But the problem is not with the Creator. The problem is with your nafs.
Subhanallah. So there's a search for yourself.
You see, because what is our nafs, right? Nafs is what our nafs has this intellect, this capacity of intellect, which allows us to comprehend things, to know something. But we cannot know anything which our nafs does not allow us to see. So, for example, if me as a person, I'm very mean, I'm very negative, I will filter out all those smiles which other people give me, because I will always see negativity. Yes. But if I'm a person who is cheerful, not only I will see everyone smiling, I myself will be smiling to others. By the way, smile is a form of sadaqah, right? Which very few people today, unfortunately, can afford. It's really, you will say it doesn't cost you anything. It does not. But you have to be emotionally rich to smile to people. And I think... sometimes we can smile only to those who smile back, but it's like giving sadaqah to people who are already rich. We need to be smiling to those who are sad and grieving.
I love that.
So I think emotional, look, and I'm speaking about all myself. I have not read it through the book. I just had my own intense life experiences, and I just have to realize that, look, if I will continue conditioning myself negatively through external things, it's not going to work for me. So I just need to rely on Allah, and I need to change my life for better. That was my conscious decision. Then when I started smiling, because it's also skill I've learned. I have not been always cheerful person for the most of my life. So where was I? I don't remember. I was speaking about smiling and something.
Yes, that the smile is a sadaqah.
Yeah, a smile is a sadaqah. Very few people can afford, but in reality, it doesn't cost you anything. It just being happy. We are here in this world to be happy. We are not here to Because people say, no, you're in this world for the sake of ibadah, of course, but that's the whole point. And ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tara.
Subhanallah.
Because it's not some people, I think it's like they assume that quantity will become quality. So you will be praying a lot and you will be fasting a lot, and suddenly it will become your nature, but you keep pushing yourself doing it. That quantity becomes quality. That's a Hegelian operation. That's Hegel. That's a German philosophy. It's not clear how it becomes. It becomes quality when you start doing it with love. But because you want to pray, because you need to talk to Allah, like you'd say, I need to talk to my friend, I need to talk to my spouse, to my parent, to your child. So now I need to talk to Allah because I know Allah knows. In the same way, like you know, but I want to I need to express it. I need to cry to you about it. So I need to make dua. I need to make salah. I need to make dhikr. I need to recite Quran because I want to know what Allah has told for me in His revelation, which cuts through the time and place.
So this is all connected to the well-being of yourself.
It is not possible to be happy when you have certain negative emotions inhibit you from this. And I can say again, I have not learned it. Yes, I read books and I attended lectures and trainings and whatever. But the bottom line is being happy. And what is that thing that prevents you from being happy? Negative emotions. For someone it's anger, for someone it's anxiety and fear, for someone it's depression, for someone it's shame, for someone it's guilt, for someone it's shame, guilt, someone feeling resentment towards others, and people believe that they need to do certain things, they need to have certain achievements. For example, people who have this sense of shame and guilt, they feel like they need to have some external material achievement, and they condition their happiness with this. Well, you can just work with your sense of guilt and shame, and you can be happy right now here, and then you can go any achievement and achieve it, not because of removing this pain, but just because you're happy and you want to be happy more, in a different way.
Amin. Allah accept Sheikh Karim Maliki. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Subhanallah. We have come to the conclusion of this morning's segment. We will be chatting to you again next week, inshallah. But we want to say Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah ta'ala bless you again, inshallah, for this beautiful, wonderful nasiha. May Allah ta'ala grant that we can have that emotional well-being and be happy, inshallah, and meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that nafsul mutma'inna, inshallah. Amin, Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Amin wa iyyakum to you and all the listeners. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Karim Maliki giving us an introduction to our new series, which started yesterday, Nafsopathology. In a few minutes I have left before I leave, inshallah. We'll be doing our dua for the day after the break.